I'm Ken, and you are watching a little channel I like to call Canadian Retro Things. And today we are going to focus on the things side of stuff. So I have received another donation from another one of my very generous viewers. This donation comes to me from Brian in Sioux City, Iowa. So let's take a look at what he sent me. It is 4 micro adventure books. And there's a note on one of them. It says, Ken, here are some extras I found. I hope you enjoy them. Thanks, Brian. Well, thank you, Brian. So what I have here are books number 1, 2, 3, and 5. Now, I did do a video about the micro adventure books a little while ago, where I just went through and I showed you what each of the programs within the book are. Just a quick little synopsis to show you what these books were all about. If you haven't seen that video yet, I'll put a link up there and a link down there. Well, today I'm going to do something a little bit different. But first, a little bit about these books and why I like them. The Micro Adventures series consisted of 10 books printed originally in the mid-1980s. They were considered young adult books. There was also another short series of 4 books called the Magic Micro Adventures, aimed at a younger audience, but I've never read those, so I know nothing about them. These books were published by Scholastic Inc., which is how I came to know them. At school, there would be an order form we would receive a few times a year of different books and magazines that Scholastic published. It was through this order form that I received all of my original micro adventure books. Unfortunately, they are another thing that I wish I had kept from my childhood. The books are all told from the perspective that you are a secret agent codenamed Orion, working for ACT, which stands for Adventure Connection Team. You must battle the evil agents of Brute, which stands for Bureau of Random Unlawful Terror and Evil. You are the team's computer specialist, which is the part that sets these books apart from others. Each book contains a number of basic programs that you must type into your computer. With these programs, you will do things like decode messages, as well as figure out why programs are not running properly or how to change them to defeat the bad guys. Each listing contains any changes you need to make the program run in BASIC on an IBM PC Junior, an Apple computer, Radio Shack TRS-80 or color computer, Commodore VIC-20 or C64, TI-99-4A, or an Atari 400 or 800 computer. Another thing that is included is the reference manual at the end of the book. This contains the computer terms that are used in the book and in the programs, as well as detailed explanations of what they mean or do. It then breaks down each program so you know what the program is doing. This was a fun and very inventive way to learn basic programming. One of the things that a few of us would do is use the first program from the book, which was the one for deciphering the coded message, and figure out how you could make it code and decode messages. So we could pretend to be spies. What I'm going to do today is look at the first program from a couple of the books, since over the course of the books they tended to change how the programs deciphered messages, and take a look at how they worked. So for the first program, we're going to start with the first book. So that would be the first. And we're going to be typing it in on my Tandy Color Computer 3. Alright, so how is this program working? Well, this is the simplest one out of all 10 books. All it is doing is it is asking you to input your message, which is mstring. Figures out the length of your message that you've typed in. This is your coded message. And then creates a loop that is equal to the number of characters you entered for your coded message. Now, one letter at a time, it takes each letter in order and converts it to its ASCII number equivalent, subtracts 1 from that number. That's what it's doing on line 40. And then on line 50, it turns that new number, which is basically just shifting the alphabet over one character, and turns it back into a character string and prints it out. And then just continues doing that for your entire message, and then asks if you would like to decode another message. So let's take a look at this in action. And as you can see, it's decodes it on the fly as you type the message in and hit enter, decodes it. So now if you want to code a message with this very same program, you would just change the -1 in line 40 to a +1, and the output would be your coded message. And then you would just change it back to -1 to decode that message. Now what we used to do when we were kids is we would have a system to figure out whether it was going to be a 1, a 2, a 3, or a 4. I think we just used 4 numbers. And we would code the message using +1, +2, +3, +4. And then depending on how we passed on what the message code was, you would use the negative number, -1, 2, 3, or 4, to decode it. Now, I mean, it's just simply a shifting the alphabet over 1, 2, 3, or 4 digits, but yeah, it made us feel like we were pretty smart when we were doing that as kids. The second program that I'm going to look at is from book number 5. Now, to spice things up a little bit, I'm going to type this one in on my Commodore VIC-20. So, let's type it in. So what exactly is this program doing? Well, let's take a look. The first few lines consist of a bunch of variables. Now, the first variable, bstring, is just the alphabet plus a space and a period. The second string variable, astring, is the alphabet but in a different order plus the space and the period, which A-string then is what your coded message letters will be. And then N-string is an empty string variable for now. Then it asks you to input your message into M-string, and then it figures out what the length of M-string is. Then it creates a couple of loops. The first loop will be the length from 1 to how many ever characters are in your message, and the second loop is 1 to 28, which is the length of your A string and B string. There's 28 characters in those strings. And then line 90, what's happening is it's taking the character that it's trying to decode, and then it's comparing it to the characters within the A string variable, so the second variable, and it keeps looping that until it finds the matching variable. Once it finds the matching variable, it breaks out of the loop and goes to line 110. And then at line 110, it takes the N string variable, which was that empty one from the beginning, and if there's already something in it, it will add. So this is building up your answer to your decipher. So it takes the N string variable and then just adds on another letter, which is the corresponding letter in the first string, which is the B string, to the coded variable in the A string. So if it was the 5th letter in the A string variable, the decoding will be the 5th letter in the B string variable. And then it just loops that until it's finished decoding your message. Then it prints out the answer to what you've decoded, and then it asks you if you would like to do another message. If you say yes, it goes back to the beginning, and if you say no, it ends. So let's see it in action. So as you can see, as you go through the message that's in the book, it will decode your secret message that you've received from ACT. So those programs were a way that my friends and I could send secret messages to each other and really feel like we were spies. They were also a way that we were learning a little bit of basic programming at the same time. So a big thank you to Brian for sending me these books as I slowly rebuild my collection of... I had all of these books when I was a kid, so I'm hoping to get them all again. I hope you enjoyed this little look at my micro adventure books. If you did, you know what you can do with that liking, that subscribing, or that commenting below, because anything and everything you do is always greatly appreciated. See you next time.